This is my favorite Christmas movie. I watch it every single year. But I'm not totally convinced that Scrooge is all that bad of a person and really needs a redemption arc. That's how the story works. It portrays him as bad and has a redemption arc, but I don't think he's necessarily bad. I'll just give some examples and my favorite scenes and my favorite dialogue, and you can decide. Let's get started. So here we first meet Scrooge. He's with some business associates at the exchange, and he doesn't like Christmas. Christmas is a humbug. And it turns out, then next person he runs into is someone he lent money to, and the guy says, "I can't pay it back." Well, that isn't Scrooge's fault. Don't borrow the money. Granted, in other adaptations of this story, the guy has like some medical bills that he needs to pay for a family member or something like that, but it isn't shown that way in this adaptation. So I'm thinking this guy borrowed money and now doesn't want to pay it back. So he's a bad debt. He should go to debtor's prison. You know, now people just declare bankruptcy and they're done. What the heck? Go to debtor's prison. Would the children end up in workhouses? See, that would give you incentive probably not to run yourself into debt. So he meets Fred, his nephew, and he doesn't want to dine with him on Christmas, and because Fred married against his wishes. So we meet Tiny Tim. He's the guy that is lame. He's the little lame boy, Tim. But it's never explained exactly what he suffers from. Is it rickets or renal tubular acidosis type 1? That's speculation from online. Who knows? But evidently, money can cure it. Who knew? So to me, already it's starting to set up that, it's really good to have money. You get up, you go to work, and you earn wealth, and then that way your life will be a little bit better. So here we see Scrooge. He's a mean boss.
If quite convenient, sir. Not convenient.
See, it isn't convenient to give a day off at Christmas. And he has to pay him. So obviously, the labor laws aren't that archaic.
Wages for no work, do you? It is only once a year, sir. It's a poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December.
Picking a man's pocket. What a way to look at it.
Such an inconvenience.
Next time we see him, he gets some food. And he isn't willing to pay the 10p, I think, extra for some more bread. Like, that's pretty cheap. But does that make him a bad guy? No.
Take me extra, sir. No more bread.
One of my favorite lines. No more bread. You see, they don't really show when he leaves. Does he leave a tip? Probably not. Scrooge. Awesome special effects for this time period. Marley's ghost? What the heck?
Jacob Marley.
So here's Scrooge. He has a nice big house, little puny fire, so he's cheap. Does that make him a bad person? Not sure. I know lots of cheap people. Are they bad? Well, only when it comes to picking up the check, but other than that, they're not all bad. He has some gruel. And then he's haunted by Marley's ghost. What the heck? Now we get to meet Marley's ghost.
I don't. Why do you doubt your senses? Because a little thing affects him.
Another good line comes up in this movie because he believes he's hallucinating.
You might be an undigested bit of beef. A piece of cheese. A fragment of an underdone potato.
I'd say the underdone potato.
More gravy than of grave, wouldn't you?
It was full as heavy and as long as this 7 Christmas Eves ago, and you have labored on it since.
So what he's saying is, these chains you forged in life, you didn't share your wealth, so you're bad. Wait, what? And he's doomed to wander. Because mankind is his business. That comes up here too, another great line.
But it was only that you were a good man of business, Jacob.
Business! Mankind was my business. Their common welfare was my business.
So he meets the ghost of Christmas past and sees a little bit of his past. You are what your experiences are. That's just the way it is. And some of his experiences were bad, but it doesn't make him a bad person. It just makes him a sad person.
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
So they visit him at his old school in the past, and he's all by himself because his father sent him here, didn't want him at home. But here's the deal. The father is still paying for this, so he obviously doesn't hate his son that much. And then you get to meet his sister, Fan. Fan Scrooge. You know, no wonder she wanted to get married and take her husband's name, because, you know, Fan Scrooge is not really that. You don't hear that every day, that's for sure.
I have come to bring you home. Home, home, home.
So he gets to go home. So you see, that's a positive thing, right?
Home for good, Lord. Home for ever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be that home is like heaven.
See, Father's kinder than he used to be. Maybe Father was visited by 3 ghosts. They don't really get into that. Who knows?
I hardly know you now.
Like, these ghosts seem to be around all over the place.
Mamma must have looked as you look now just before she died.
Recalling? Why, bless my
Then we
soul.
get to see where Scrooge was a clerk at Fezziwig's, and there's a party going on. Well, that's great. Because he just, but what they're saying is, see, Fezziwig, you know, he parts with a little bit of his wealth and everybody's happy. You know, wealth and happiness seem to be some kind of key here. If you part with it, then you're good. And if you keep it and hoard it, then you're mean and bad. I'm not entirely sure about that message.
What does this party cost him in your mortal money? 3 or 4 pounds at most. What's the matter?
Nothing.
Something, I think.
No. Just that I'd like to have a word with my own clerk, Bob Cratchit, just now.
Well, they're not going to have much of a party if it's just Scrooge and Cratchit, that's for sure.
It's only a shilling ring, Alice, but one day it'll be a gold one.
Now you get to meet his girlfriend. He may marry her someday. Gives her like a cheap ring.
Very large one, I have to admit. But it's not
So
just
you
for
learn
me,
that,
one spends a
okay,
lifetime
there's
with
Fezziwig on the left.
your-
He likes the old ways, kind of small trader. And the guy on the right is like, hey, let's expand. You know, I have like massive trading and factories, and they're making stuff, which is good. It's actually raising everybody's standard of living, if you think about it.
The old ways and die out with them if needs must.
I wonder if the guy on the right gets visited by 3 ghosts. I doubt it, because he's a cutthroat under the fine linen, I think, or something like that. And here, Scrooge's sister Fan dies in childbirth. Now that's sad, but you see, that shaped Scrooge, right? Makes him bitter. You know, he probably blames the baby just like his father blamed him for his mother's death. That's what they explain, right? So, but does that make him a bad guy? He's sad. Give him a break. So Scrooge leaves in a huff. But Fan's not dead. Jeez. Don't they have like doctors checking pulses around here or something?
Promise me you'll take care of my boy.
Fan is just concerned about her son. Nothing wrong with that. And, you know, Scrooge didn't hear it. So here Scrooge quits Fezziwig, goes to this new place, meets Marley. Patrick McNee. I'd only ever seen him as an old person, so from like the Avengers. I like how these people greeted each other. We should have the same thing.
Wizard of the accounts. Your servant, Mr. Marley. Your servant, Mr. Scrooge.
Your servant. That's awesome. We should say that when we greet each other. Remember, Scrooge said you control the cash box and you control the world. He's not necessarily wrong.
Yes? Pardon the liberty, but do you know if I'm to be kept on here, sir?
What's your present salary?
5 shillings a week, sir.
You can stay for 4 shillings a week.
Well, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Isn't that old Fezziwig?
See, like, is he a bad guy for that worker? He doesn't even know what he does. And he's like, oh, you want to stay? Sure you can for a wage cut. You know, earn your way back up the ladder. Is Scrooge bad? I don't know. Doesn't even know what that guy does. So then Scrooge breaks up with Alice because she says that he's more interested in money. But as you can see, like if you don't have money, life is kind of crap here in this time period. Ooh, the golden idol takes possession of his heart. And then you meet an embezzler.
Certainly, Mr. Groper. Well, gentlemen,
like holy
after 70
smokes.
years of existence,
But you
the
see,
Amalgamated Mercantile Society's
Scrooge and
books show
Marley
something
end
figures
up
of a liability
bailing out the
of
company, keeping all the
£3,200,
workers
8
employed.
shillings and
There's no
10
scandal.
of
Like, are they
£11
bad guys? They saved the company.
Oh, but gentlemen, it could have been any one of you. We're all cutthroats under this fancy linen, Mr. Snedrig.
We're all cutthroats under the fancy linen. That's awesome.
Execute me. All you'd get out of it is about £11 odd. And to pack me off to Botany Bay would be poor compensation.
Going to Botany Bay in Australia is probably not a good prospect.
Joking doesn't exaggerate the imprudence of allowing his misdemeanors to be made public.
So Scrooge and Marley cover the debts that the guy embezzled.
Not, I confess, with his methods.
I don't see how they're bad. They saved everybody's jobs.
Which might solve some of the difficulties to our general advantage. Mr. Marley and myself are prepared to make good out of our own private resources. A sum of money appropriated by Mr. Joking.
Reprieved. Reprieved. Curfew shall...
Slayer is so happy he's reprieved. You'd think he would still go to jail or something.
We wish to be allowed the option of buying up further shares in the company to a maximum of 51% of the total.
In short, gentlemen, if you wish to save the fair name of the company by accepting their generous offer, they become the company.
Who are those three guys? They're arguing. No, we should go down with the ship.
Excuse me, Mr. Scrooge.
I'm busy.
It's about Mr. Marley. He's dying, sir.
Well, what can I do about it? If he's dying, he's dying.
The message was...
Yeah, Scrooge isn't a doctor. I don't think he can really help.
It's now 5:15. The business of the office is not yet finished. I shall go when the office is closed. At 7 o'clock. Yes.
See, now that's an interesting thing. The office closes at 7, yet we know Cratchit has to be there at 9 every morning. So Cratchit works 9 to 7 every day? Holy smokes! The Char Lady and the Undertaker. It's not even the doctor. Another great line from Charles Dickens. You know, you don't want to let the grass grow under your feet.
Who's that, the doctor?
No, sir. The Undertaker.
You don't believe in letting the grass grow under your feet, do you?
Ours is a highly competitive profession, sir. Wrong.
Huh?
Wrong.
Wrong. Oh. Well,
See, Marley
we
says
can't be
they
right
were
all the
wrong.
time.
All they did was make good business transactions and
We didn't know
accumulate
worse than the
wealth.
next man.
They didn't steal from anybody. In fact, the only guy you saw that stole so far
Mustn't reproach
is
yourself,
the guy that embezzled from the company they ended up buying. He was the bad guy, not Scrooge and Marley.
Jacob.
So I always found this scene kind of curious
Save
because
myself?
Marley says,
Save
save
myself from
yourself.
what?
Does this mean Marley was visited by 3 ghosts too and learned the error of his ways, which was not sharing wealth? But it didn't work out for him.
Marley worked at your side for 18 years. He was the only friend you ever had. But what did you feel when you signed the register of his burial and took his money, his house, and his few mean sticks of
So
furniture?
Scrooge took Marley's money and his house and a few meager sticks of furniture. Still wondering where Scrooge lived before. Now Scrooge meets the ghost of Christmas Present. He's a cool guy.
We spirits of Christmas do not live only one day of our year. We live the whole 365.
That's a good sentiment to have. But that doesn't mean you should work hard, earn wealth, and give it all away.
Too old and beyond hope. Go and redeem.
See,
some
they can't
younger,
redeem
more
someone younger and more promising because they don't have any money. They just want the money. Then we get to see Cratchit and Tiny Tim, the little lame boy. So what do? They hide Martha. You know, that's kind of mean. It's like, oh no, Martha's not coming for Christmas. Wait, what? For a Tiny Tim, he's like almost the same height as Cratchit.
Is the pudding still singing in the copper?
Pudding singing in the copper. Obviously, they didn't have television, internet, VHS tapes. They didn't even have that. They had nothing. So I guess you just watched the pudding singing in the copper. Yeah, I guess that's a lot of fun. So they talk about how Tiny Tim is going to die from whatever ails him. And that's sad. So they're going to toast Scrooge, and everybody hates Scrooge. If he didn't give Cratchit money, they wouldn't have anything. See, they all hate his guts. Unbelievable.
My dear, the children, Christmas Day.
Could only be on Christmas Day that I would drink the health of such a hard, stingy, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge.
Yeah, he's a hard and stingy man, but there's no law against that.
My dear.
You know, as long as the pay envelope is full on payday, who cares? If you've ever had to wait for your pay because it was delayed for some reason, you know, it sucks. But there's no evidence that Scrooge ever did that. He paid his debts.
Come to dinner with us. And what's the consequence? He's only cheated himself out of a highly indigestible dinner.
A highly indigestible dinner, and he says that to his new wife, who's like 36 years old. She's not exactly ugly, that's for sure. Then you get to see Alice. See, if Scrooge would have stayed with Alice and married her, what are the odds that Alice would be this angel that helps poor people? Probably the odds are 0.
Do you feel more rested now, my dear? I do. Bless your dear, gentle hand. I never thought there was anyone like you left in the whole wide world. Cut me throat, rip me liver if I'm telling a lie. This is the happiest Christmas I ever had.
Cut me throat, rip me liver if I'm telling a lie. You know, you don't hear that expression very much anymore. I wonder why.
And you're going to show me shadows of things that have not yet happened.
Now he meets the ghost of Christmas future. This actor's great. Look how steady he holds his hand. I can't do that. I've never been able to do that. It always shakes.
I cannot change.
And 10,000 at thy right hand. But it shall
So
not
Tim
come
dies. That's sad.
for he shall give his angels charge over.
In the end, it turns out all you really need was money, and
Because he has
Tim's
set his love
cured.
upon me,
Hmm.
therefore will I deliver him.
Kind of
I will
implies
set him on high,
go to
because
work,
he hath known my
earn
name.
money. Don't go into debt. Don't go to debtor's prison. That probably won't help you very much if you get sick. So here's Cratchit. He's sad his son died. Who wouldn't be, right? But you know, I wonder, did Scrooge give Cratchit the day off, like for the funeral and stuff? Or, you know, is it a day off without pay? You don't know with Scrooge. He's cheap, right? Does it make him really bad? No, it just makes him cheap. My favorite scene in the whole movie, where Scrooge is dead, evidently, and they go to the local fence, who's dealing in stolen goods, and he has child labor. Remember, Scrooge is bad,
Oh, Joe.
but they don't talk about this at all.
No, let the laundress go first.
People come here, they stolen from Scrooge, literally rip stuff off his dead body. They go to a guy that has child labor. Remember, Scrooge is the bad guy in this story. Seriously? What are you talking about? Great casting of Joe. I've seen him in other movies, and he always plays the same guy. So the char lady, the laundress, and the undertaker, they rob Scrooge of his valuables. I always thought a story should be written about Joe. That would be really interesting. What kind of arc does he go on?
Boots are sorted. Power.
Yeah, 17 and 6. I always give too much to a lady. It's a weakness of mine. That's how I come to ruin myself. Yeah.
No truer words have been spoken, that's for sure. Scrooge was just laying there. And remember, Scrooge is the bad guy in this. I wonder if she murdered him. I always wonder about that.
Rings and all, and him lying there.
To take cold without him, I dare say.
He didn't die of anything catching, did he?
Oh, don't you be afraid.
He didn't die of anything catching.
About him for such things if he did.
What could you get in the mid-1800s? Probably something pretty nasty.
You won't find a hole in it.
The businessmen won't go to the funeral unless a luncheon is served, because you got to be fed. I wonder if they get visited by 3 ghosts. Probably not. Great yell by Alastair Sim in this. You don't hear this very often in movies. So the char lady comes on Christmas Day. Scrooge is happy, believes he's not dead, so that's good. Anytime you wake up and you're not dead is probably a good day. She thinks he's nuts.
They're still here. You didn't tear them down and sell them.
You didn't tear him down and sell him, and she's probably thinking, hey, that's a good idea, you old miserly person. Now, this is a very interesting thing. He points out, he saw Marley's ghost, the ghost of Christmas present. The other ghost is like, so it must be true. Everything he saw was true. Really? So she thinks he's nuts. He gives her a guinea.
What for?
I'll give you one guess.
To keep me mouth shut.
Yeah, to keep me mouth shut. It looks to me like it's a bribe. Bob's your uncle. You don't hear that expression very much anymore either. Hopefully she keeps her mouth shut, that Scrooge has gone nuts. Now, I never understood this scene because the maid should not know who Scrooge is unless she's seen him in passing somewhere along the way. Because Scrooge, they say he's a recluse and he never goes out or anything except to his office. So the maid is like, oh, I don't know who you are. Come on in. Strange that the maid would say, just go in. Hopefully Scrooge isn't packing. I like this scene because he walks in and everyone is shocked. Not because it's Ebenezer Scrooge, but because it's like, what? An intruder. We don't even know this guy. Until Fred says,
Uncle Ebenezer.
See, even Fred's wife doesn't know who it is.
Your invitation to dinner.
And she's still looking okay. Nothing wrong with that.
My dear, look who it is.
Here's Boxing Day. I don't know if they had Boxing Day back then. Cratchit's late for work. Because remember, he works 9 to 7. Bob Cratchit was actually Ebenezer Scrooge's calculator. That's how it worked back then.
Cratchit, you're late.
Sir,
He gets one holiday a year. That's awesome.
Which leaves me no alternative but to raise your salary.
He's taken leave of his senses, that's for sure. But again, the story is, you see, the world is a better place if people that earn money just give it away.
Scrooge was better than his word. He became as good a friend.
See, now everyone in the town likes him because he gives them money. Really? That's the moral of the story?
And to Tiny Tim, who lived and got well again, he became a second father.
And in this particular adaptation, Tiny Tim's right leg is cured, and now everything is good. So the character arc for Scrooge is one of redemption. But I'm not entirely sure about that, because really it's like he's selfish and doesn't share his wealth, and then he does share his wealth and everybody's happy. Is that a good redemption arc? I'm not entirely sure. I think there's a lot of other people in this story that should have been visited by 3 ghosts. Anyway, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Thank you for watching.